Welcome, New America, to high atop Space Mountain Studios. It's about to get real with your host, Paul Riley.
Hello, New America. It's about to get real, and I'm your host, Paul Riley. Today, we're going to talk about the age-old debate on open carry, concealed carry versus constitutional carry. We're going to go over and talk about what each of these three things are a little bit for those that are not in the know. I know most people that are gun owners are at least somewhat familiar with these terms. So let's just dig into it and get on with it, all right? So we're going to start with open carry. Open carry is exactly what it sounds like it is. You know, it's the practice of openly carrying a firearm on one's persons in public where the firearm is visually out where you can see it. This has been going on for a long time now, and I'm sure that most of you, if not all of you, have at least witnessed a person open carrying either you know, in live, you know, you personally witnessed it, or you've seen it on the news or TV where people have been gathering for rallies or protests with rifles and handguns. And you might ask yourself, well, how are they allowed to do that? Well, many states in America have open carry laws that allow you to, as long as you're legally allowed to own a firearm, you can put it in a holster and carry it on your hip, and that makes America just a little bit better. The next one is the concealed carry. Bear with me here, my screen changed on me. Concealed carry, the definition is the practice of carrying a concealed firearm on one's persons in a public place. Concealed would be in an ankle holster, in the appendix carry, with your shirt covering it up, a jacket covering it up, even a shoulder holster with a jacket or a sports coat on or something like that would all be considered concealed carry. And there's tons of states in America right now that will offer you concealed carry with a permit. And then you get into the constitutional carry. And the constitutional carry is, again, kind of like what it sounds like it is. In the United States, the term constitutional carry, also called permitless carry or Vermont carry, if you're familiar with history, as Vermont was the first state that allowed permitless carrying of a firearm. And then once other states started getting in on it, you know, they coined the term Vermont carry, or constitutional carry, depending on where you live, your geographic area, and what you know about history. The constitutional carry basically means that if you're legally allowed to carry a gun, you can carry that gun, whether it be open, whether it be concealed, without a permission slip. It means that you did not have to go and ask for permission to take part in exercising your constitutionally guaranteed rights to keep and bear arms or to carry a weapon to defend yourself, your property, or others. I know now there's been a lot of debate over the last few years about open carry versus concealed carry, and we're going to dig into that a little bit more before we get more into the constitutional side of it. I hear a lot of people say over and over and over, I mean, this has been a myth that I've been hearing ever since that I've started carrying a gun. I personally am a huge advocate for open carry. Free men don't ask permission to carry a firearm. They don't ask permission to protect themselves. It would be like telling a deer that they need permission to defend themselves from a coyote or any other predator for that matter. It just don't make sense. You know, and you hear a lot of folks will tell you, you know, oh, well, the open carry guy will be the first person that gets shot in a bad situation. You know, you're standing in line at the bank and you're open carrying, and a criminal comes in to try to rob the place. A lot of folks, especially concealed carry permit instructors, will try to convince you that you'll be the first target that gets shot. Well, I've had an open challenge now for about 5 years for anybody in the continental United States, or in the world for that matter, that could produce any evidence whatsoever that would substantiate that claim that, you know, the open carry guy is going to be the first person to get shot in any kind of criminal activity. And the contrary to that statement is that if you know anything about the human psyche, And when you're about to commit a crime or you're about to do something that you know is wrong, it creates an adrenaline dump in your brain. Your brain starts firing off the adrenaline. You're nervous, you're scared, you're worked up. And when you get into that situation, the same thing is with a armed person using their weapon in self-defense. When you get those type of emotions, that massive dump of adrenaline flowing, you begin to get tunnel vision, and you become very, very unaware of your surroundings in those situations. It becomes very easy to overlook small things like an open carry person carrying a gun. 99% of the time that will be overlooked and is thought of as a phone. And in a high speed, high stress, high adrenaline situation like a criminal activity, 99.9% of the time, I believe that firearm is going to be overlooked. That criminal is going to walk right by you, go right up to do whatever it is that they're going to do, and they're not going to pay you any mind. And that would provide you with the opportunity to draw your weapon and dispatch the person that was doing wrong. Another belief that I have on this, and again, this is my personal feelings on it. This isn't fact or anything like that. It's just my own personal beliefs on it. Is that if the situation arose to where a criminal came in and saw me open carrying my weapon and decided to shoot me because I was open carrying my weapon, the time that it would take that person to stop what he's doing and to deliver rounds towards me would give the concealed carry person in line next to me the opportunity to dispatch that person. Hopefully I would not die in vain. Hopefully, if me being shot because I was open carrying could provide the second or 2 seconds required for another armed person to take that person out, well, then my life was not wasted. It wasn't given in vain because other people were potentially saved because of the actions of that criminal focusing on me and allowing someone else to step in and do what has to be done. Again, those are my personal feelings on it. You can agree with me or disagree however you want. That's fine. I'm okay with it. But asking permission to do something that you're constitutionally guaranteed to be able to do is, in my opinion, no good. We've got to a place to where we've got so many permission slips now. We've got so many different things that we have to ask for permission to do. Why are we asking for permission to do the most basic of human activities, and that's to defend yourself, to keep yourself alive? Self-preservation should not have to come with a permission slip. When you go to do your background check to buy your firearm, that should be enough. Now, on the flip side of all of that, I will say that there is a good reason to go ahead and get a concealed carry permit. There are a couple good reasons to go ahead and get a concealed carry permit, whether you believe in being permissioned to do what you're lawfully allowed to do anyway. There's a couple of perks that come along with having a concealed carry permit. When they started talking about the constitutional carry here in Ohio, all the concealed carry permit instructors were all freaking out. You're going to take away our livelihood. You're going to make it to where we can't make any money giving concealed carry classes. Who wants to have a concealed carry permit if you can constitutionally carry? And my rebuttal to that, CCW instructors, is that, one, keeping or getting your concealed carry permit will help fast track you when you do firearm purchases. You've already done an extensive background check. So when you go in to purchase a firearm, and at least here in Ohio, you can provide them with your identification and your concealed carry permit, and that fast tracks your NICS form through the system, and you can go ahead and purchase your weapon and be on your way and not have to worry about getting hung up in a 3-day delay or just a random delay. The FBI tends to throw out just randoms. You may have never had any kind of criminal activity in your life at all, and then you go one day to purchase a gun, and for whatever reason, just a random, this guy, and they put you on a 3-day hold. It might be a whole 3 days, it might be a couple hours, it might be a day and a half, but if you get flagged, and they do it at random from time to time, you can be put on a waiting list, and your CCW will help alleviate that problem, at least here in Ohio. I don't know. I can't speak for other states. Another positive thing to have for having your concealed carry permit is when you leave the state of Ohio. When you leave the state of Ohio and you go into a state that doesn't have constitutional carry, or it's constitutional carry for residents only, Most of the states, not all, but I believe there's 17 or 18 states that accept the Ohio concealed carry permit, which keeps you lawful and when you leave home. I know, like, when you leave Ohio and go into Kentucky, you can constitutionally carry. But that don't do you any good in Ohio. Just like in Kentucky, if you're constitutionally can carry in Kentucky and you cross the bridge over into Ohio, like say you live in Maysville, Kentucky, or Covington, Kentucky, or any number of the cities along the border, and you find yourself crossing the river back and forth for work or entertainment or whatever, if you don't have a Kentucky concealed carry permit, when you cross the river, your constitutional carry rights dissolve. They go away as soon as you cross the state line into Ohio. Now, as long as you handle yourself right, if you get into a mix-up with law enforcement, as long as you handle yourself right, odds are they're going to get you in compliance and send you on your way. But there's no guarantee of that. There's no guarantee that if you cross that river without a concealed carry permit, that you'll be okay to go here in Ohio. As a matter of fact, the laws actually say, no, you're not okay to go. They can totally fuck with you. And the best thing that you could do to prevent that would be to get your Kentucky concealed carry permit. That way, when you cross the river, you're good to go in Ohio too. So let's see here. We're going to talk about some constitutional carry for a little bit. I just did a quick web search and came up with there are 16 states in America that allow for constitutional carry. And I'm going to tell you who they are. Just bear with me here and let me get down here. U.S. jurisdictions that have constitutional carry are, too far. All right, so we've got Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Idaho, Kansas, Kentucky, Maine, Mississippi, Missouri, New Hampshire. New Hampshire has constitutional carry. That's pretty cool. North Dakota, residents only. Oklahoma, South Dakota, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wyoming. And Wyoming is for residents only. North Dakota is for residents only. And yeah, that's about it. So we got 16 states here in the country that allow for constitutional carry, which means no permission slip required. You pay for your weapon, and you do your background check to take your weapon out of the store, and you can put it in your pocket. You can put it inside your waistband. You can put it in your ankle, or you can just wear that bad boy out in the open on your hip. And that's typically what I do. I'm a huge open carry advocate. Now, one thing that I do want to focus on here before we end this video, and we're going to try to keep it kind of short today. We're not going to get into a whole big, long, hour-long podcast over this topic. But one of the most important things that I can't stress enough, I cannot emphasize this enough, that if you are a person that has either decided to start carrying a weapon or you're on the fence about possibly getting a weapon and you want to start carrying it, I cannot stress enough about training. I'm going to say that all again because I cannot stress this enough. Training. If you think that shooting your grandpa's .22 rifle out the back of the porch when you were a kid is training, you are fucking wrong. You are dead wrong. You are out of your mind wrong. That is not training. That is called plinking. That is just something you do to have fun. Even if you take a concealed carry class, all right, the amount of training that is available to you in a concealed carry class is nowhere even close to having enough training to be confident that you can place a weapon on your hip and confidently deliver rounds downrange on target during the stress, during the panic, during the adrenaline, with the tunnel vision, with the fear of the fact that you know in your brain that you're taking another human being's life. There's no amount of training that will prepare you for that. But with hundreds of hours of training, you can be a little bit closer to that. All right. There's a reason why when law enforcement has a gunfighter, they have to deploy their weapons to apprehend a criminal. There's a reason why they'll spend 45 to 150 rounds and only score 4 to 5 hits. And those guys are trained way better than any of your average civilian. Your average everyday person on the street does not have the amount of training that law enforcement has. We can all agree on that. Yes, I would like to think we can all agree on that even though law enforcement needs a tremendous amount more training, they are more trained than your average person on the street. And they have a hard time getting rounds on target when it comes time to deploy their weapon. So how do you think that you will be able to get rounds on target with all of the things that factor into a self-defense situation? How do you think that you're going to get rounds on target if you don't spend hundreds of hours practicing? If you don't have at least 5,000 rounds downrange with your carry weapon, you probably shouldn't even put it in a holster and take it out of the house until you do get 5,000 to 10,000 rounds downrange. More is even better than that. The more practice that you can put in, the more those skills will be there when you need them. You know, you've heard people say in military and law enforcement that, you know, you just fall back on your training. You fall back on your training. Well, if you've never trained, what do you have to fall back on? That's a serious question. If you're carrying a gun in America right now, if you have never trained, what do you expect to fall back on when panic sets in, when fear sets in? If you've never had a bullet zip past your head at 1,200 feet per second and you hear that fly by your head, you don't know about the panic that I'm talking about. You don't understand. If you've never had to draw your weapon and seriously contemplate putting rounds on another human being, then you don't know what I'm talking about, and you haven't trained enough. You know, now granted, you can't get shot at in training, but the more that you draw that weapon, the more that you cycle that weapon, the more that you clear malfunctions, the more that you do reloading drills, the more that you work on your trigger pull, the more that you create situations to where you can practice your natural line of sight. When the time comes for you to have to use your weapon, you're going to be much more prepared than the person that was too fucking arrogant to go out and spend the time on the range getting rounds down range. You know, you might feel silly going into your bathroom and practicing your draw and trigger pull and punching out onto your natural line of sight. You know, when I say that, I'm talking about coming straight from the holster, punching straight out and squeezing the trigger. That's your natural point of sight. You know, taking time to aim the sights all up, that's not a natural function. Coming straight from the holster, punching straight out, and delivering rounds on target quickly and effectively only happens when you do a lot of training. Hundreds of hours of training. Now that I've been an open carry advocate for almost 7 years now, I've probably got 500 to 600 hours of training in. In the weapon that I carry every day, I've got close to 10,000 rounds downrange. That's how I feel confident to know that if I'm at Walmart and some asshole comes in and starts shooting people, that I can effectively come from my holster, come up on target, and put rounds on target without shooting grandma in aisle 9. Without a round getting away from me and killing an innocent on the other end of the store. If you're not that confident, if you're not that sure about whether you can do that or not, you need to take your weapon off and you need to put some more time into training. And when you feel confident that you can do that, when all the madness and all the craziness that comes together from using your self-defense weapon, the fact that you've got to put a person's life in jeopardy, once you've trained to the point to where you feel confident that you can do those things, not that you want to. We don't carry guns because we want to hurt people. We carry guns because we don't want to be hurt. Once you feel confident that you can do all of those things, then you strap your weapon back on and then you carry it out in public. And if you want to carry it openly, you carry it openly. And if you want to carry it concealed, get your permission slip and carry it concealed. I personally do not judge anybody on how they decide to carry a gun. If you want to open carry it, open carry it. If you want to concealed carry it, concealed carry it. But I do advocate for everybody to own a gun and for everybody to take the time to put the training in to be safe and confident and reliable with that gun to where you don't hurt somebody by accident, to where you're not the person that is dangerous with the gun and making mistakes. It really just boils down to taking the time, to putting in the training, to make the investment into the ammunition, to put into the training, to get out on the range, get the rounds down range, and become proficient at using your firearm. If you're not doing those things, when the time comes, you have a high probability of failing of what your intentions are. You know, if your intentions are to make the world a better place, if your intentions are to save lives, then you have to take this extremely serious and put the training in to where when you draw your weapon, you don't become the problem by mistake. My name is Paul Riley. It's about to get real. I thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy this content, hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe share it around with your friends. You know, if you want to make fun of me and laugh, that's fine. If you support what I say, if you believe in what I'm saying, that's even better. We appreciate the love and support. And until next time, everybody have a safe day, load your weapons, and learn how to use them.